A very good evening to you. Welcome to this edition of Sports Tonight. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Well, a lot has happened today. The NFF elections have come, and of course, a winner has emerged. Amaju Pinnick has, been elected again as the NFF president. We'll be talking about all the drama surrounding it, and of course, everything that went down right there in Castina. We'll also be talking about things happening on the domestic scene. Of course, talking about the ITO Cup, and of course, for the men and the women. We'll also give you a slice of boxing on the show. Of course, today we will take a trip to Washington. Our friend Sonny Young is waiting in the wings to fill us in with what is happening in the amazing world of sports. Let me pause a little after giving you the outlook of the show today. I want to pause a little and bring you into all that we're doing right here. I want you to be a part of what we're doing. You're an integral part of the show. Today is a day where there should be dialogue. Today is a day where there should be conversation. Let's keep it going. Tell us how you feel about all the things that have happened today. As we speak, of course, the Europa League is currently going on. Some big clubs in England are playing Thursday night football. We talk about that as well on the show. Just in case you join us for the first time, this is how you can be a part of the show tonight. Exactly what you have right there on your screen. Get across to us on Facebook, Channel Siphon Sports, and get across to us on Twitter as well. The handle that you have right there on your screen at channels_sports. Let's talk tonight. Talk about the NFF elections. Talk about the eagerly anticipated bout between Britain's Anthony Joshua and Alexander Povetkin. Let's talk about that on the show tonight. Let's also spare a thought for what is going on the domestic scene as well. Let's spare a thought for the ITO Cup. And of course, you can read up on our top stories. You have them on www.channelstv.com. You can view us, those stories we talked about on youtube.com/channelsweb. You can also take it a step further, download, just go to m.channelstv.com and follow the prompt. If you have your iPad and your iPhone, you will be able to view us live. And of course, you can download the Channels TV app for your Android and iOS. And of course, when you do that, you will, from their respective stores, and when you do that, you will be able to view us live. All right, let's quickly take that trip to Washington right now. Our friend Sonny Young is waiting in the wings. Hello, Sonny. It's good to have you join us on the show tonight.
Good evening to you, Yemi, and good evening to all your viewers. Great to be back on Sports Tonight.
All right. A lot is happening. I'm even wondering, where do we start from? Maybe let's start with boxing. Let's talk about Anthony Joshua, your take on that much anticipated bout, Anthony Joshua and Povetkin.
Well, I got to go with Anthony Joshua in that fight, Yemi. I think he'll definitely have huge crowd support at Wembley Stadium in London. I expect a packed house of 90,000 or so fight fans. Most will be cheering for AJ. And interesting matchup from an Olympic perspective, Yemi. We've got two former Olympic champions. AJ, of course, won the super heavyweight class at the 2012 Olympics in London. And if we go back 14 years, Povetkin won the gold medal at the 2004 Olympics in Athens. Povetkin's only loss to former world heavyweight champion Vladimir Klitschko. And he says, I did hear the news conference, the pre-fight news conference, in which Povetkin said that he's stronger now, in better shape than he was when he lost to Klitschko. I still like Joshua. I think Povetkin will come forward. And it wouldn't surprise me if we see an early round knockout, Yemi.
All right. I like doing this to you. I'm going to put you on the spot right now, Sonny. Do you think the bout is going to go all the way, all the 12 rounds, or we're going to see a stoppage? Because you look at Joshua's records, a lot of knockouts. So do you think we're going to see a knockout, or we're just going to go all the way?
I think we will see a knockout on Saturday night, Yemi, and I'll go out on the limb a little bit. I'll say AJ by knockout within Within 8 rounds. How about that? Within 8 rounds, knockout at Wembley Stadium.
Okay, okay, that's a bold call from you, Sonny. All right, let's talk about another one. The question on everybody's lips, are we going to see part 3 of the fight between Saul Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin? Let me get your thoughts first before we even begin to talk about part 3. The judges in the spotlight. Again, a lot of people question maybe the scoring method or whatever is happening. Can't Canelo lose in Las Vegas? All of these things being thrown around.
Close fight. One judge had it even, 114-114, and the 2 other judges, Yemi, both gave it to Canelo by 2 points, 2-point margins, 115 to 113. Some say it could have been judged another draw. I know they had the controversial draw last year at the same venue in Las Vegas. Tough fight. I thought, Golovkin landed more punches, but it was a close fight. And I think what really helped Canelo is he didn't sit back this time. He moved forward. He attacked. Afterwards, his promoter, Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya, said he kept Golovkin on his heels through much of the fight. But still, Golovkin landed a lot of punches, too. I think they're clearly the best in the middleweight class right now, Yemi, and I think we will see a third fight between these 2 gladiators. However, what really is hurting Golovkin right now is his age. He'll be 37 if there is a third fight between the 2, and I think with the age difference, the advantage has to go to Canelo for that third, if there is a third fight between the 2 boxers.
All right, let me just take you back a little to what Triple G's promoter said. Tom Loeffler says, look, if there's going to be part 3, we're not going to do it in Las Vegas. A lot of people, I don't know, it's been thrown around, people thinking maybe it's hard to beat Canelo in Las Vegas. I don't know if you share their thoughts or you think there's any truth to that.
Well, I will say Vegas is probably the prime boxing venue here in the USA, Yemi, simply because of the gambling revenue that is generated whenever there's a big fight. So it would be interesting. The other main boxing venue here is probably New York. Some championship fights are also held in New York, but still, I would have to disagree with Loeffler regarding his comment. I think Triple G can get a fair decision in Las Vegas.
Okay, let's talk about the Nigerian boxer making the waves, carrying opponents. Let's talk about Efe Ajagba. We hear there's a bout coming for him in September. Can you give us the details?
Yes, Ajagba scheduled to be back in the ring on September 30th, end of the month. The opponent has not yet been determined. However, Ajagba is really rated as one of the rising heavyweights. Lots of power, great physique, and he could definitely, I'm not going to say he's going to get a title shot against somebody like Anthony Joshua within the next year or so, but he is really positioning himself, especially that last fight. I know it caused a lot of controversy, but Ajagba really came off with a lot of positive publicity simply because of the way he handled himself after Curtis Harper kind of left the ring out of the blue. So I think Ajagba really is a heavyweight to watch, and I know some Nigerian fans are already keeping their eyes on him. But yes, he's getting some fights, a lot of fights here in the States, and his next fight will be broadcast on Fox Television here in the USA. That's one of the bigger networks, and so it's going to be good exposure for Ajagba.
Okay, so we'll see what happens in that one. Of course, we'll keep our eyes on him and let's see how far it can go. So let's leave boxing. Let's go to basketball. Let's go about the FIBA women's basketball that's going to start in a few days in Tenerife, Spain. And let's allow you to talk about your girls from the United States. Then, of course, when you're done with that, you can talk about some of our girls that, of course, you know because they play on your side.
Well, I think the American squad has to be considered one of the favorites for the gold medal, Yemi, simply because of their very proud pedigree, multiple world championships and gold medals by the American squad. Quick shout out for just a couple of the players on the team. Sue Bird, who veteran player, and she recently won another WNBA title with the Seattle Storm. She'll be one of the veteran leaders on the American squad in Spain. They have what I look at as a relatively easy first-round grouping with Latvia, Senegal, and China. I think they can get out of that group pretty easily. But let's give a shout-out for the Nigerian women. The Tigers, I think I pronounced that right, Yemi. The Tigers.
Yeah.
They also, maybe a little tougher group in Spain for the Nigerian ladies. Australia, I think they have a very solid team. And so that they could be a test for the Nigerian ladies. Also Turkey and Argentina in that group. But I still think the Nigerian women can get out of that group, Yemi. So I think we have some really interesting basketball coming up in Spain.
Okay, so we'll see what happens with that one as well. And, all the best to our girls and, of course, to the girls from United States. Okay, let's talk about something that happened today. Some of us didn't see it coming. Right there in Seychelles, WADA surprised us all, lifting the ban on Russia. That's not the news. But, of course, a lot of countries disagree with WADA's decision to lift the sanctions on Russia's anti-doping agency, and it looks like, for the first time in 19 years, they're going to have some sort of crisis on their hands because a lot of countries do not support that decision.
Yes, very controversial decision, Yemi. Coming here from the USA, let me just quickly give the reaction from Travis Tygart. He is the CEO of the United States Anti-Doping Agency. He described the decision as bewildering and inexplicable, and he has called for just an overall reform of WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency. In his words, they need to basically overhaul the entire agency to reestablish the trust of the world's athletes. And I've read some comments from British athletes who say if an individual athlete can receive a 4-year ban for a doping violation, how is it that a country, a huge country like Russia, can have a ban removed after 3 years? Some have called it just a slap on the wrist based on the widespread doping that has taken place in Russia. So I think this story will not go away for a while, Yemi. I think there's a lot to be said. And quickly, Sebastian Coe, head of the IAAF, he says their sanctions against Russian athletes will remain in place for now. He says their sticking points, they're going to have to review them, and the Russians at this point are still under suspension. So this story has a long way to go, and yes, very controversial decision.
All right, Sonny, before I let you go, let me really play the devil's advocate and ask you this question. Vladimir Putin, some top Russian officials say there's a conspiracy against Russia. Do you believe that there's a conspiracy against Russia, or that the Russians are not meeting up with the compliance code?
I would disagree with President Putin's description of a conspiracy, Yemi. The reports I've read, there's been widespread evidence of Russian doping in the past decade, especially covering some of the recent Olympics, like the London Olympics of 2012, the Winter Olympics in Sochi, and involving thousands of Russian athletes. So I would disagree with that. And I think this, as I said, this story is not going to go away. I don't know that this ban, that lifting of the ban is a good thing for sport, the world sport overall.
Okay. All right, Sonny, I want to thank you for your time on the show today. Hopefully we're going to do this some other time.
Always a pleasure, Yemi, and a very good evening to all your viewers.
All right. That's a friend from the Voice of America, Sonny Young. All right, we need to go on a break now. When we return, of course, we'll be talking about the big one that went down today, the NFF elections. Join us again.